Good day, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Nate. Today we're going to be continuing our look at the new aircraft from BMS 4.33. This is the AV8B Harrier 2. You may also call it the GR9, but given that currently in BMS there's only one livery or skin, whichever you want to prefer to use, for the Harrier, it's the US Marine one. I guess it will just be the AV8B until further notice. So there are a few tutorials on the vertical takeoff component and the vertical landing component for the game, so I won't really go into them, but just for you guys to be aware, that is a possible thing to do in BMS. You can do it from either in the cockpit using the keys, the actual controls, and the virtual cockpit, or you can use a key setup. Changing the key setup is a little bit difficult because I think you have to go into the BMS folder and dig up the actual file. So I will now just roll down the runway and just talk you through a little bit about the aircraft itself. I'm going to do this in reverse order today. I'm going to talk about the aircraft cockpit and how it flies, and then go into BMS menu and walk you through the weapons. And there is a logical reason for that. So it's mostly because the other half will be a bit longer. So this is the easier part I would like to do first. So let's, without further ado, get into the cockpit and get off the ground. Now the first thing I must warn you is that this aircraft makes a really annoying and obnoxious sound up into about 90% RPM, and afterwards it will be nice and quiet. So I do apologize for the sounds, but let's get rolling. Yeah, I don't know where that lawnmower sound comes from, but it's it can be annoying because cruising at 90% in a formation, it's been a problem for me, but that's all right. Anyways, this thing is really light in the controls. It rotates really quickly, so let's get off the ground. First thing you note is that it's very light in the controls. It's extremely nimble and very agile, and accelerates quite quickly as well. The other thing you might notice very quickly is that I've got my big RWR up. There is no default RWR available, so you will require this. Now this has been a small problem for me because at the moment when I'm doing air-to-ground attack runs, without the RWR you really do lose your sense of situational awareness. So having that up kind of makes you lose one screen. The other issue is that despite that being an actual Harrier, and if I pause the game very quickly, you'll see on the outside that the forward-looking infrared camera, which is in the nose, which you can see here, or maybe you can kind of see it. There's a bit of glass there. That's supposed to be a forward-looking infrared FLIR, forward-looking infrared camera, but it currently doesn't actually work as far as the systems go. So if you want to do anything, you still require the TGP. So that's kind of a small thing that bugs at me. But everything works. This is a fully functional cockpit. The aerial refueling, which is over here, also works. If I click out the aerial fuel out thing, so that puts a probe out. And it does a weird animation, but it comes back up again. There. So that works. The downside for that is at the moment that BMS only currently has boom operated aircraft, and that is a refueling aircraft that has a fixed refueling boom that comes out the tail, which is these probe based aircraft like this. The Harrier and the Tornado require drogue, which is a floating basket on a flexible platform comes out. Refueling, and also the Hornet also uses the same system. Its refueling is a bit of a kind of annoying process. I believe you can if you connect probe to boom, and that does work, but I've seen another video where people are refueling that way, and it looks super obnoxious, and I'm just not really willing to do that. So I'm just gonna say blanket, it's not working very well. What else is here in the cockpit? Well, everything works. As I said, everything works. There is a manual or a cockpit diagram that comes with it, so I'm not going to go into details, but everything works. The only thing you probably want to note is that the vertical, the nozzles, if you want to make them go vertical, so I should show you now. The nozzles are currently 90 degrees towards the 0 degrees along the horizon. To change that, all you would do is click not the actual throttle control itself, but forward and backward here of that. So it's currently at 90 degrees. So I keep them there. You can see now that they've gone vertical. So now I've got my jet wash going downwards. and that will put me in a vertical, well, give me the option to land vertically. You can see the speed's decreasing, but anyways, I'll just put that back. Just to emphasize again that is not done by clicking the actual control itself, but by clicking the panel with the numbers. That's it. This is, I mean, it's a very nice aircraft to fly. It handles very well. It's quite nimble. It turns well. You see the wind vortices there. It's a really beautiful aircraft. But I think that's all I have from the flying side of things. I haven't really got much else at the moment. If you want to learn how to fly again, there's a lot of tutorials out there. I won't waste your time doing all that stuff. But if I just think of anything else, I think that might be actually it. Oh, the other thing is the gun for some reason uses the A10 gun sound. So if I just take off the mask lock, you'll hear it's using the A10. So if I just click it, you can hear it's using the A10 sound, which which is fine. I guess they must just don't have the sound for it. Just as a final bit of information before I leave the cockpit here. This is what BMS classifies as an advanced flight model aircraft, an AFM. It's not an OFM. I'm not sure what OFM stands for, but this is what the BMS dev team considers on par with the F-16, or at least close to in terms of flight modeling and accuracy of the system. So this and the F-18 are the other two aircraft that the BMS team considers on par with the F-16 in terms of flight model performance, handling characteristics, and avionics. So we should expect a bit more stuff to come from this soon. I did hear somewhere that there's going to be the ability to land on a carrier, a special carrier for the Harrier, or some sort of frigate that has a landing ability for the Harrier at some stage later on, but that will have to wait for 4.34, which God knows when that will be. But that's it from the flying side. So let's quickly jump into the menu. I'll see you guys over there in a second. Alright guys, so we're now in the loadout screen. As you can see, this is where the heart of the view is going to be. Now, the aircraft has a diverse amount of weapons. You can see here it's got cluster munitions, it's got laser guided bombs, it's got rocket pods, it's got dumb bombs, and it has fuel tanks on the inside. Now, I kind of want to talk about this because this is really, I think this is a problem with the Harrier, and that was the reason why I wanted to do this part and really look at the critical parts. I want to get the good bits, which is the flying out the way quickly. The Harrier has real limitations on it. It doesn't. Let's just go through it quickly. Actually, I can show you. I can explain to you why. Now, it has the ability to carry 4 sidewinders total, 2 in each wing, and that then leaves you with 2 inner pylons for the weapons, which is fine. So you can bring, but because you don't have it, the nose FLIR doesn't work. You'll need to bring the TGP, which is over here. The TGP goes on the right inner pylon, which then only leaves you with 1 single pylon if you do it this way. So most of the time you're going to be working like this. You're going to have 3 weapons, 1 TGP, unless you carry the rocket pods, in which case you're going to have 4 rocket pods. But this is a problem because you then have limited range. Without the fuel tanks, you won't be able to go very far. So the Harrier really needs to be operating on a frontline airbase. So that only leaves you with Siosan and Seoul. Siosan, Osan, and Seoul. Then that gives you that then would give you the range, but you would not have the ability to do deep strikes into Pyongyang or off the coast here, because I think it would give you real fuel problems. So that's a limitation of the aircraft at the moment. The vertical takeoff component is also kind of just a for fun thing, because the theory is that you can operate on damaged airbase and stuff, but in BMS it won't let you take off from a damaged airbase, so kind of redundant, but it's fun to use that way. If you do slap on fuel tanks, which is again only the inner pylons, that only leaves you with the outside pylons, and then you don't have the TGP. And because the nose-mounted FLIR doesn't actually work, you won't be able to zero and hand off the Mavericks. So so what you're really be operating with is 3 pylons all the time, because of the lightning pod, the TGP has to be there. You could slap on 1 fuel tank and then have 2 things there, but that doesn't give you many options. So this is what I've been operating a lot with. I've been operating a lot with 3 GPUs and 1 lightning pod on the side, which is fine. But at the moment, that's why it sees very little use in BMS, I think, and a lot of the squadrons don't really look at it very much. It's very fun. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy this aircraft. It's a fantastic aircraft. It's beautiful, and it's very nice to have that vertical takeoff thing. But it's just not very useful at the moment as far as BMS goes. The limited amount of stuff it can carry. I mean, if you look at the F-16, 12 Mavericks, or the A-10, but like a lot. Sorry, the F-16 has 6 Mavericks. If you have the triple pylons, the A-10 carries more. The Tornado carries more. Just about every aircraft carries more weapons than this. And the advantage of this is the vertical takeoff component, but that's not something that's really useful at the moment in BMS until a carrier comes out for the Harrier. So this is a fun aircraft to fly. Again, I'd like to reemphasize that, but very little use, and I don't think I will spend much time on it other than practicing my vertical takeoff. But at the moment, I feel like I'm just going to be doing that in FXX more rather than here, because I don't want to do all that stuff while getting shot at. So that's the Harrier. As I said, so let's just quickly summarize everything. Everything works in the cockpit. It's an advanced flight model. It's got vertical takeoff component, and it can be armed. No real problem here at the moment with the aircraft, other than the nose FLR doesn't work. You have to use the TGP. Alright guys, well, that's it for the day. I'm going to try and do the Viggen next, because I haven't seen any videos on